Greetings. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Paul Reed Smith guitars, and especially the SE line of guitars. So these are actually built, this particular one was built in Indonesia, believe it or not. This is the brand new model called the SE CE24, and in the American-made line, Paul Reed Smith has the CE model guitar. And what that is, basically it's a maple neck like this, and it is a bolt-on. So the neck actually fits in the pocket here, and then it gets these 4 screws, and that's how the neck is joined to the body. Whereas a lot of the Paul Reed Smith guitars have a glued-in set neck, but the neck actually gets glued into the pocket, and it's a permanent, connection. So a little bit about this particular guitar. This is called the Black Cherry Finish. This guitar retails for $699. It has a tremolo, it has 24 frets, it has the Paul Reed Smith 8515S pickups. It has a push-pull pot on the tone control, which actually splits the coils. These are humbuckers, so it's 2 coils in series with each other. When you pull this up, it isolates one of the coils, only giving you 1 coil, similar to like a Stratocaster. So it gives you a little bit cleaner tone, not quite as much output. Push back down, you get the full double coil or humbucker. It's quieter pickup when it's in humbucker mode. It's a little bit warmer sounding, not quite as bright, and it's definitely got a little more bite to it. It's a little more edge. The thing that I noticed about this guitar though, and I just picked it up from a guy who couldn't quite bond with it, and I think I know why. The 2 bottom strings just have this really bad buzz to them. So I don't know where that's coming from. I have a suspicion that it's in the nut itself. The factory, they take a file. It's a specific file based on the gauge of string that is used. And PRS guitars typically have a 9/1000ths of an inch on the bottom, and I think it's a 42/1000ths on top. So we call them 9 through 42 strings. They're slinky. This is a shorter scale guitar, so the strings are automatically by default going to feel slinkier. The thing that I notice about this is the strings don't have a lot of tension, so I think that they don't really sit well in the nut. And that's just my opinion. I may be wrong. But one thing that I've learned is when you put a set of 10 through 46 strings on a Paul Reed Smith like this one, I don't get that buzz. I don't have that sound, that obnoxious sound that the other one has. I am gonna, when I get it home, I'm gonna take those strings off and put a set of these 10 through 46 strings on it and see if the buzz goes away. If it does, it tells me that the nut was cut, the file was probably not used properly, or they used the wrong size files and they filed the groove in the nut here a little too wide, and the string is kind of flopping around in that groove. So anyway, I just think this has got more of a buttery tone with a 10 through 46 string. Now, are they harder to bend? Absolutely. But I have no problem bending them on this scale guitar. And I use, what do I use string-wise? GHS nickel rockers burnished. And what those are is that the core of the wound strings, it's a smaller core than on the typical GHS nickel rocker strings. So it makes them a little slinkier and easier to bend. However, the bottom 3 strings are the non-wound strings. It's just basically a core. And But I think they bend just fine. I have no problem bending these. And I just like the sound of a 10 through 46. I have more tension on the string because it's thicker, and I just believe that it sits better in the groove of the nut here, and it sits tighter on the bridge, which kind of eliminates the buzz that we were hearing on the other guitar here. A little bit about this guitar. This one is 18 years old, believe it or not, and it looks brand new. This is the PRS SE Soap Bar. So these pickups here, they're reminiscent of the Gibson P90 pickup, which is basically a really fat single coil pickup. Just it's got more meat to it. It's got more wire wrapped around the bobbin, and a bigger magnet. So these pickups actually, they're really thick sounding and punchy, and they sound wonderful. I love a soap bar or a P90 pickup, just the way they sound. This guitar doesn't have any push-pull because these are single coils, so it's very simple controls. I really like this guitar. I like the way it feels and the way it sounds. This is got what they call the wide fat neck. So typically you get like two general neck profiles with PRS guitars. So you either get the wide thin neck, which is the other one I just had in my hand. That's a wide thin neck. Whereas the wide thick neck, it's a little bit fatter, the thickness between the top of the fingerboard and the back of the neck where you're gripping. This is shaped a little more like a baseball bat, a little thicker. But the thing about a thicker neck too is the more substance you have, the more string vibration that transfers through the body, and I think you get a thicker, warmer tone with that. So that's, like I said, it's an 18-year-old PRS. It was only played one time when it was bought, and it was put in a closet and put up. I cleaned the heck out of it, polished the frets, oiled the fingerboard, and put these 10 through 46 GHS nickel rocker strings on it. This one here was made in Korea. So the Korean factory was putting out some really great guitars, for a long time. They moved the factory, they moved their manufacturing to Indonesia a few years ago. The Indonesian guitars are fine as far as I can tell. There's just something special though about the Koreans. I just think they were a notch above. I really wish they would move a factory over to Japan and offer a Japanese-built PRS. I've got a Japanese Stratocaster. It's absolutely fantastic. The Japanese are probably some of the best luthiers in the world when it comes to building guitars. So those are just some facts about PRS guitars. If you get one and you got some string buzzing, it's likely it's either in the nut itself or on the bridge. Now this is a single bridge wraparound where the strings go through here and then they wrap back around the top. This bridge here is pretty solid. You typically don't have noise problems with these. Let's get this one again. Now this one here has these little saddles, okay, and they have springs in them. By the way, there are springs in the back of this tremolo too, and I made sure that they were snug, that they weren't like left loose. So I eliminated that being a problem. But here I've got this, just does not sound good. So I may have to take this to my friend who's a luthier. His name's Kenny Marshall. Guy's best in the business, and I know Kenny will get it right for me. So other than that, it's a fantastic guitar. It's a beautiful top. Look at that flame maple top. Really, really nice. They have a more of a budget version of this guitar. This is called the Black Cherry. The more budget ones they're like $4.99. They don't have the real pretty top on them. The grain kind of goes this way, and I think it's just like a mahogany top. And they're great guitars. But this one here is really, really pleasing, and I love these knobs. I really like those knobs. It's kind of a two-tone speed knob. Very nice. And the trim is cool because it just pops out, and there's a lot of resistance to get it in and back out. The beauty of that resistance is the bar doesn't just flop around. it actually stays put wherever you put it. So, you know, if you're like me, when I play with like a Strat with a trim, I typically will keep my finger on the bar, and that way I'm right there on the bar and ready to use it. I can hear that thing kind of smacking the body though. That's something I'm not a fan of. I'm gonna have to look at adjusting that. So that's the thing about these, you know, the PRSs with the trim. I think they need to go to a luthier and get somebody to set these things up properly. I think once you get them done though, fantastic freaking guitars. I love the American PRS. I've had a couple. I've had 3 of them actually. I had a CE 24 one time. I had a custom 10 top. It was a really great guitar. It was a 22 fret model. And what else? I had an S2. The S2 was a wonderful guitar. I kind of regret parting ways with that one. If I can ever get my hands back on one just like that, I'm going to do it. It's a great guitar. Overall, I love PRS guitars. I think they're fantastic. Some of the best made guitars out of all the manufacturers for the money. And you know, Paul Reed Smith, the guy's a legend. And you know, he hasn't let the company get bought out by a bunch of investors like Gibson and Fender. I mean, those companies, they're long gone. They're no longer viable contenders in the market of quality guitars. They're just not making them anymore. So Paul Reed Smith has really kind of cleaned their clocks, and deservedly so. You know, he's put quality first and makes great sounding guitars. So yeah, hopefully this will help you if you're in the market and you're looking to buy a PRS guitar. Don't shy away from it just because you hear a little buzz in the strings. That can easily be fixed. Get it fixed, and I think you're going to love the guitars. The biggest thing about them is the width of the neck. PRS guitars tend to be a little wider than, say, a Gibson or an Epiphone or a Fender. So, you know, I have pretty much fairly long fingers, so I can adapt to it and play them pretty well. I know people that have smaller hands kind of tend to struggle with the bigger necks. So if that profile doesn't work for you, I think Paul does have a model that somebody was telling me about that is actually a little narrower, a little more comfortable for, you know, smaller hands. And you may look into that if you're really dead set on trying a PRS. If you have not, another thing I love about these guitars, man, is the bird inlays. You know, they just look so cool. So I now have, how many of these do I have? 1, 2, 3, at least 4 PRS guitars. I've got a McCarty 594 SE, beautiful guitar. I'll have to do a video on that one and show it to you sometime soon. But you know, the thing about the string gauge too, you know, 9 through 42 versus 10 through 46. What do you guys like on your PRS guitars? I personally prefer the 10 through 46, the burnished GHS nickel rockers. I think they're fantastic sounding strings, and I like DR Pure Blues strings as well. I think they yield some really great tones. Derek Trucks uses DR Pure Blues, and we know he's got great tones, so he must know something. So anyhow, if you have a PRS and you have any experience with these, I'd love to hear your comments down below. And if not, if you're looking to buy something, go out and try them out and see what you think. And I think they're very reasonably priced. The SE line is definitely more budget friendly, although this one here is $700 new, and that's without a case. All right, the case I've got, that's $250. So you're looking at almost $1,000 for the package here that I've got. And I got it from a guy on Craigslist who basically just couldn't bond with it and basically gave it away. I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it because people will be mad at me. But I got a heck of a deal, I will tell you that. So anyhow, I appreciate you stopping by, and leave some comments down below if you've got a PRS and if you have any advice as far as how to get rid of that buzz in the strings. All right, have a good night.